to acknowledge the band again. Oliver Ullman is a sophomore who made the All-State band this year on clarinet. Milo Jordan is a sophomore who recently played in the State Chamber Ensemble competition. His percussion trio placed third in the state. And thank you. Round of applause. And Stephen Walker is a senior who was the principal bass for the All-State Orchestra. Stephen recently won the state solo competition as the top string bass player in the state. And next fall, Stephen will be attending the University of Oregon to major in music education. So good. Best of luck to Stephen. And the jazz ensemble at Westland High School won the league competition this past fall. And on Friday, the band will be performing at the state jazz band competition at Mount Hood Community College. And based on what we heard today, I have a strong feeling that they're going to win that state competition. I think they are. Thank you, everybody. Well, thank you all for being here. I'm Roy Bielostowski. I grew up in the Willamette neighborhood, attended Westland schools, and I've been serving as mayor here since 2023. Thanks. Westland is not only where I serve, but it's where I grew up, live, and play, and it's been an honor to serve our community and go to work every day to make our city a better place. And being mayor is a challenging job, but through the challenges and responsibilities, I feel an immense sense of purpose in my life and gratitude for the opportunity to serve you all. So thank you. Thank you. And a few preliminary acknowledgments. Anytime you close the library early, you're risking some chaos, and I want to apologize for that. We've got big expectations tonight as a result, and I want to thank the library staff for helping us get set up, along with our Parks and Recreation staff and the entire team. And I also want to thank Ivan and Roberto at Tualatin Valley Community Television, also known as our local government channel, for helping produce the video that you're going to see a little bit later. And the crew here tonight, Ivan, Kevin, John, and Christo, are helping produce the event and streaming this live so that those at home who couldn't make it can watch and tune in later as well. I want to recognize my city council colleagues here in the front. We've got Councilor Carol Breik, Council President Mary Baumgardner, Councilor Leo Groner, and Councilor Kevin Bonington is here. And we've got a lot of elected officials in the room as well, and current and former. We've got school board member Kelly Sloop. Thank you for coming, Kelly. Our distinguished county clerk, Catherine McMullen, who's doing a great job, is here. Thank you, Catherine. And Metro Councilor Christine Lewis is here from Metro. Hopefully, maybe soon to be county commissioner. We've seen that news. You're very qualified for that role. And doing a great job at Metro. And we've got former governor and president of the Willamette Falls Trust, Kate Brown, is here as well. Thank you for being here. And then I also have to recognize former Mayor Russ Axelrod is in the room. And he's president of the Willamette Falls and Landings Heritage Area Coalition, and they're the new tenant in the newly opened historic City Hall that we just finished renovating. So I want to give a shout out for that project and that building. It's going to be a great place for years to come with the coalition in there. So thank you, Russ. Thank you, Britta, from the Heritage Area Coalition. And then last but not least, I want to recognize my family. My lovely girlfriend, Shawnee Johnson, is here. My big support, helping me serve. My dad and his partner are here, Del and Janet. And my mom and her boyfriend, Ayad, I think, are here somewhere. Or they might be on their way still in traffic. But I have a strong support system at home, which is very helpful in this job. And I want to thank, again, everybody for being here, and thanks for being a great part of this community we all love and call home, Westland. And a few things that are relevant to the times and that many are probably wondering that I thought I'd start with is, has the city lost any federal funding from what's going on in Washington, D.C.? And I'm pleased to report that at this point we have not. We do have a $1.25 million water line funding allocation that we're waiting on, and because it was in a previously passed budget bill, it's not at risk of being cut, we think. So we're feeling like we're going to secure that funding. In addition to the $5 million we secured from the state legislature, both of those monies will go to the Abernathy Bridge water line replacement. So we'll have a seismically secure water line to serve the city for hopefully decades and decades to come on the Abernathy Bridge. That's part of that big construction project going on, as many of you have seen at this point. And we're still assessing the impacts of tariffs on what we do and our costs. And we actually had a small public art project in the Willamette neighborhood where we're building a bicycle kiosk that's going to serve folks who use the cycle tracks and bike in Willamette. And the price of that, it's being made of steel, so the price doubled from $6,000 to $12,000. So stay away from our art projects, Washington, D.C. But that's all I've heard about so far, and we're planning to begin some important projects this year, such as the Public Works Operations Center, which will be off of Salamo Road. Some of you probably drive up the road and wonder, what's supposed to go off to the right down here? There's just a random turnout, and there's nothing there yet. It's going to be our new, very important Public Works Operations Center for our Parks Department and our Public Works crews to have a space to be the current ones, very outdated and unsustainable for the long term of our city. And our water distributor, we've got folks here from South Fork Water Board, Wyatt Parno, Mark Cades, and Krista Britton from South Fork. So they make the water. It travels across the Oregon City, the Abernathy Bridge, and then it comes into the Westland distribution system. And we're going to be at South Fork building a new chemical feed building over the next couple of years. And so we're going to be monitoring costs and making sure that we do everything we can to keep the costs down for these projects and everything we do for the community. A few other updates. The Oppenlander Fields issue has been difficult for our city, and I have a lot of thoughts about it, and I intend to write an opinion piece about that in the near future. I just want to say that we're doing everything we can to protect the city financially, and I'm still hopeful to this day that the community will have some park space there, as many have expressed a desire for. And one of my big issues when I came in, tolling, is looking like it's not going to happen near Westland anytime soon. So we were able to stop. I don't want to say we stopped it. I don't want to say that yet, but I want to thank all the community members for showing up, advocating, my colleagues and everybody, and I think we're in a good position there. There will be tolls on the Glenn Jackson and the I-5 IBR bridge, interstate bridge, but and there's a transportation package work going on in Salem right now, and we're hopeful that there'll be some good investments in the transportation system statewide. And I think they're doing great work on that. I've been following that. We're still engaged in Salem on the transportation package. Overall, I'm pleased to report that our city's budget is in stable shape this biennium. And I want to thank our city manager, John Williams. Where's John? Is he I know he's here. There he is back there. And our finance director, Lauren Breithaupt, I think she's back there. There she is. They've done a lot of work goes into the budget. In fact, once we adopt this one later this year, we're going to start on the next one right away. So we're not facing any staffing cuts, which is a huge relief in these uncertain economic times. But that said, we know the work doesn't stop here. And while the current biennium looks manageable, projections for the years in the not too distant future show a potential sizable budget deficit. And we continue to face pressing infrastructure needs and increasing costs from roads, sidewalks, water system upgrades, as well as staffing needs and community project requests. And looking ahead, this is actually an exciting moment for our city because we have the opportunity to come together as a community and shape the future of our city. And at the same time, though, I do understand, and we all understand from what we hear from the community and what we go through ourselves, that many of our residents are feeling a pinch. The cost of living is high in Westland and the surrounding area, and taxes can feel burdensome. It's worth noting that only about 13 cents of every property tax dollar that you spend goes to fund your city services. And we Also have among the lowest water rates in the region compared to our neighbors, and one of the lowest property tax rates in the metropolitan region, if not the lowest. That means that as a city, we operate with fewer resources than others, but we've gotten very good at making them stretch. For example, we have one code enforcement officer for the entire city, just one, and one facilities guy who's supposed to take care of every single city building that we have. And so we have needs. And most budgets we've passed over the years have been described as kind of status quo, which doesn't really meet our community's expectations and needs. And so, as mayor and as a longtime community member here, the question that I keep coming back to is this, which is how do we responsibly, as a city, invest in our future while being mindful of the economic pressures that our community members face? And I've been thinking about this a lot as a person here. And we have real needs that can't be put off forever, whether that be building sidewalks to keep pedestrians safe, improving Highway 43, maintaining our roads, fixing all the potholes, or ensuring our water system is strong and seismically resilient. We just did a water master plan update that showed tens of millions of dollars of needed projects over the next several decades. And these are just examples. We also want to create more spaces where our community can connect, play, and thrive. And we know this, we cannot do everything at once. But we also know as a city that we cannot stand still. And that's why we're looking forward over the next months and years to starting a conversation with the community about what investments you all want to see prioritized over the coming years. And the goal really is to build a long-term financial plan that fixes our deficits and reflects the community's values and aspirations for city services, outlines what it would take to achieve our goals, community goals, and provides the information that we all need to make thoughtful, informed decisions together. And that's what we'll be working towards this year. Thank you, Rick. So. Listen, the world feels very uncertain right now, politically, economically, socially. And a few weeks ago, I was uncertain if I'd be able to get into Canada for a vacation. And then this morning, I saw that Trump and the new Prime Minister, Carney, were chummy and getting along. And I'm pleased to now tell Mayor Buck from Lake Oswego, my friend, that West Lynn is not for sale. He's been talking about that at some of the conferences. But in all seriousness, the news cycle is relentless, and there are many around our community, from the immigrant community and others, who are feeling unsafe and scared. And the tone of public discourse can be harsh, divisive, and it's easy to feel very overwhelmed or discouraged by things happening far beyond our control, and I feel that way a lot of the time. But here in West Lynn, we have an opportunity and a responsibility, folks, to focus on what we can control. And we and each of you still have immense power to make a difference in our city and society. We can continue to make our city a welcoming one, which we work hard at all the time, and work to ensure that every person feels like they belong in our community. We can look out for our neighbors and check in on them. We can show up and engage to help shape the future of our city, just like many of you have done tonight, talking with our staff out in the hallway who are here talking about their different projects and departments. We can care for our parks, speak respectfully at meetings, and invest in our future together. And you never know what someone is going through, whether it be a loss, a challenge, a quiet struggle, and away from the porch or a kind word, helping hand with garbage cans, just listening. All these things are simple gestures that can create the kind of trust and support that can change someone's day and sometimes their life. And my theme today, this part of my remarks, is to be a good neighbor. And this is about more than just civic pride. It's about mental and emotional well-being and fostering connection in a time when isolation, loneliness, partisanship, divide And all those things are on the rise across our country and state and community. And it's about remembering that while we can't solve everything, and so much right now is beyond our control and ever-changing, we can make things better, one interaction, one relationship, and one neighborhood at a time. And I dare to say that our work at the city reflects this same philosophy. It's not about partisanship or headlines, it's about our potholes in parks, or sidewalks and water lines. It's about showing up for one another and solving the city's real problems and planning for our future in real time, together. And when we focus on what we can build together, and when we lead with empathy and choose connection and progress over division, we create a West Linn that is not just a wonderful place to live, but a place where people feel like they belong. And that's the spirit behind everything we do at City Hall. So let's come together as a community and continue to build a city that leads with kindness, purpose, and results. And let's make sure that everyone feels safe and welcome in West Linn. And above all else, if there's one thing we can do during these such uncertain times, let's be good neighbors to each other. And I know that we are out in the community. Everybody does their best to be that way, and just thought I'd remind everybody of that. So speaking of a good neighbor, I'd say great neighbor, I'd like to transition now to the presentation of the Robert Moore Award, which is the city's highest award given out to honor kind of our volunteer of the year. And this award honors those who have dedicated themselves to preserving and enriching the culture and spirit of West Linn. And the award is, there's a nomination process, and then it goes to a committee of prior Robert Moore Award winners, so the best of the best, and then they come together and pick the winner. And I want to welcome up Sandy Carter, who's our, come on. So Sandy is the recipient of the 2025 Robert Moore Award. Thank you, welcome. And before I get into Sandy's many accomplishments, I want to share a quick story. When I called her to tell her that she'd been chosen as the recipient, I expected to surprise her with some good news, and I did. And true to form, she had just gotten home from a full day of advocacy work in Salem on behalf of the Willamette Falls Locks Authority. And yeah, you can give some applause for that. And I think she was with several folks who are in the audience here tonight. And she had met with 12 different legislators that day, all in support of the locks funding. And I want to ask Jenny, how many miles did you walk in the Capitol on that day? You shared the number with me that on the phone.
My Fitbit said 8,000 steps. I don't know what.
See, about 8,000 steps in the Capitol alone that day. Yeah. And that tells you everything you need to know about Sandy. She's driven and absolutely dedicated to the causes she believes in, and she was nominated by Roger Shepard, a West Linn community member, and I wanted to share a bit about what I learned about Sandy from her nomination. Sandy began her journey in historic preservation in West Linn back in 1997. And from the beginning, she's been a tireless advocate for the Willamette Falls Navigation Canal and locks. And over the years, she's become more than an advocate. She has become one of the region's most knowledgeable and passionate voices for the locks, their history, and their future. In 1998, she helped found the Willamette Falls Heritage Foundation, now known as the Advocates for the Willamette Falls Heritage. And as president and executive director, she built a coalition of support dedicated to preserving the heritage of the falls. And Sandy was the driving force behind the Locks Fest, which I unfortunately never got to go to. But I was, we're going to restart the Locks Fest. And yeah, she was force behind the Locks Fest from 2018 to 2021. She served as co-vice chair of the Willamette Falls Locks Commission. And today she continues her service, I believe, as the governor-appointed member of the Willamette Falls Locks Authority, and still leading and still being the squeaky wheel for the locks, as Roger called you. Sandy is a shining example of what volunteers mean to West Linn. and your voice has never wavered, your leadership has never faltered, and your love for this place and our history has inspired generations of residents to care deeply about the history that surrounds us. And I think we're going to get those locks reopened, I'm hoping, for that bill. And some of you out there who follow the city goings-on have heard of the Lady B tugboat. Sandy's been very involved in wanting to find a home for that in West Lynn. I'm sure she'll tell you all about it when she speaks, but we're hoping to find a home for that in West Lynn as well. And so on behalf of the city of West Lynn and the West Lynn City Council, I wanted to present you with the 2025 Robert Moore Award, and thank you for your years of service, vision, and leadership. We have a nice clock for Sandy that has her name on it from the city. She just moved today. She shared with me.
This is why my surprise.
I'll let her. I'm going to turn it over to Sandy to say a few words. This was a crazy day for her, and she made it to the state of the city to be here tonight to share some words with you all.
And I had a shower. Oh, this is so beautiful. Can you hold it? Thank you. Is Roger here tonight? I didn't see him coming in. Oh, darn. Yeah, Roger is another. Oh, okay. Well, thank you all so much. I am so honored by this. And I don't have anything prepared, so I'm sorry. You're going to get to hear me just kind of a little off the cuff tonight. And I won't take as long as I might. I do want to say that when he was talking about the Locks Authority, I didn't start out being a lobbyist. And it's funny what volunteering will teach you over time. The things you need to do, the skills you need to pick up, the friends you need to make volunteering fun and successful and meaningful. And I'm thinking about the people in this room and all the groups over time, probably like me, where you're in one and then you're in another and then you're in three and then you have to back off one because it's been 12 years and then you made a success over here. So all the people in this room know what that means. I'm quite sure of that, and I just want to thank everybody that understands and does that work in the community, because I think it's incredibly important. And when I moved to West Lynn taught me to love history. Before that, I was working as a volunteer for Clackamas County on their transportation system plan, the subset on bicycle and pedestrian transportation. We did the first county bike map. That was a really fun project. We had a event that I organized called a soft traffic conference. Okay, anybody understand what that means? Soft on the outside, crunchy on the inside. We need to make people safe in their interactions with vehicles, obviously. So anyway, I come to West Lynn, and here's this constellation of incredible things around the falls that I was pretty much unaware of, oblivious about, and the deep history that runs here. And I thought, this is cool. And then I was in West Lynn leadership through the chamber, and anybody who's done a chamber leadership program, probably any leadership program, at the end, you get together, put your heads together, and come up with what you might want to do if you had the time and the ability to create a project in your town that would be important to you after what you learned about your city through the leadership program. So, what do we focus on? Basically, Willamette Falls history and the area around the locks. Because the locks is a super special, unique place in America. And it was involved in industry, and there's the power, and there's the paper. So there was so much going on there. There's all the deep indigenous history. And that's what got my toes in the water. And I have to say, for people of an age, I am of an age, who have grandchildren and stuff, I don't have grandchildren. And I'm a little sad about that, but that energy can transfer into something you really care about. And in this case, for me, it transferred into history, local history around Willamette Falls, particularly on the Westland side. Oregon City can take care of theirs. I know about it. I've toured over there, and you know, I'm interested in it. That was a kind of a flip thing to say. But, you know, I've lived here now since '93, and I was going to say I'm a newbie because I've only lived here since '93. And then I thought, I've lived here longer than the mayor. Yeah. So, God, I never made up a joke for a speech before. This is kind of fun. Thank you. So yeah, I've been involved pretty deeply, and I have to say, part of the time, I worked 4 years on a $10,000 part-time grant for the Willamette Falls Heritage Foundation. So the money isn't why you're into this. In fact, volunteer after that, I was a volunteer, and you know, it's the friends, the like minds, the successes, the differences that you're making. And I consider this my legacy, particularly the projects that I did around oral history of the thousands of people over decades and decades that did heroically difficult, hard, hot, you know, work down there along the locks, on the tugs, in the mills, as machinists, making power, sometimes poaching a few salmon while they were down there. But I think people's stories in an aggregate are what we are, and we mustn't forget them. And most of these people are never going to write down their stories. They're never going to sit in front of a video camera and tell you their life. They're too modest or too shy or don't have the verbal thing to want to do that. But I was able to collect a whole bunch of stories about industrial work at Willamette Falls, and I'm very proud of that. It led me into the Grindstones Art Project at the trailhead of the Greenway Trail down at Willamette at Bernard's Landing. And eventually, you know, I hang in there, I watch the locks. The locks people call and say, we're going to destroy this little old tugboat. It's the last of its kind on the Willamette. The Bernard green and white little boats that push the log rafts. Do you want it? I go, yeah, now what? What are we going to do? So anyway, things have come to me, I think, just because I stayed interested. I took a lot of pictures when people were working and sent them to them because their families don't see this work. They probably don't even talk about it very much. So now they have a picture of lifting a gate off the locks for an inspection. So, you know, put yourself out there, do what you love, find something that's really interesting to you, and I'm sure I've talked enough now, but thank you very much. Oh, look at that. Okay.
Let's take a picture and then
But just because I'm moving today to where Mike Waters lives, my other favorite volunteer, doesn't mean I've completed my projects here. So it's not goodbye. It's just, I have to drive farther now. What do I do?
well, you guys can come up in front, take a picture. Hey, you did. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Once again, congratulations to Sandy, and thank you. And as we did last year, I was able to make a nice video with our City Council Priorities Update. It's a State of the City video, followed by, and we're going to follow that up with a panel of my City Council colleagues to have answer a question and dive a little bit deeper into our City Council priorities. So now I'm going to have the video played And once again, thanks to the team at TVC TV for the professional production. They even have teleprompters over there that with the camera where you look right into it and it will happen. So thank you.
Hi there, friends in Westland and beyond. Rory Bialostowski here, and I'm a longtime Westland resident and have the honor of serving as your mayor. Welcome to the 2025 Westland State of the City video. I'm so excited to share all the latest happenings and accomplishments from around this amazing city we get to call home. All of us here at City Hall and each of you in your neighborhoods work hard every day to make Westland the best place it can be. I hope this video and the State of the City address will contribute to community conversations, help us work together, and inspire more folks to get involved at City Hall. First up, let's talk progress on City Council's priorities. We've identified 9 key priorities to tackle in 2025 to 2027. First up, transportation safety and funding, a top priority for us. We're working closely with state legislators, ODOT, and others to ensure Westland's voice is at the table in Salem as the legislature works towards a transportation package. Many of you spoke out against the state's proposed I-205 tolling program, and we heard you. As the legislature crafts its new transportation package, the city is pushing for funding solutions that are fair and won't drive more traffic into our neighborhoods. Closer to home, we are launching a community conversation on how to fund essential pedestrian and traffic safety projects across our neighborhoods and business districts. We've heard your requests for more sidewalks, bike lanes, and we're committed to acting on them. So stay tuned for opportunities to share your input. We're also advocating for major improvements to state-owned Highway 43. One option we're exploring is a potential jurisdictional transfer, where the city would take ownership of the roadway in exchange for a significant financial investment from the state. This would streamline city projects on the roadway by eliminating that lengthy state permitting process and reduce the cost of implementing the city's transportation plan for Highway 43. But rest assured, we will not move forward without a strong financial commitment from the state and a sound, community-informed financial plan. Another very basic but critical need is our city's water system. And last year we adopted a water master plan that set out the future needs of our system, and we are now conducting a rate analysis to determine how to fund those water system investments to keep our water flowing. Parts of Westland's water system are nearly 100 years old, and our utility rates, with increases capped at just 5% by city charter, struggle to provide enough funding for maintenance and operation in this inflationary time. As a community, we will need to make decisions about rates and funding over the coming year or two. 2 projects that will enhance our sense of local identity while helping stabilize the city's budget over the next 50 years are the Waterfront Vision Project and Vision 43. And maybe you've already interacted with these projects at our new project website, yourwestland.com. If not, head over there for a history of outreach campaigns, survey results, interactive maps, and to just learn more. A special thanks to those of you who have shared your vision over the years for what the revitalized waterfront area should look like. Besides implementation of new zoning measures, coordination with property owners, and infrastructure improvements, the next steps are to increase river access, explore tourism opportunities with community partners, and honor the indigenous and industrial history of the land. Together, we can make the waterfront area a unique place of pride for Westlandians to work, live, and play. Vision 43, which is set to revitalize the corridor areas adjacent to Highway 43, is still in its most exciting stages. Some degree of change over the coming decades is inevitable for every city, and we're grateful to all the community members who've spoken out to tell us what you want to see on Highway 43. You've asked for more pedestrian-friendly areas, green infrastructure, mixed-use zoning, and housing. You've asked for a means to spur economic growth and attract new businesses without sacrificing our small-town character. Thanks so much for the feedback, and we look forward to adopting the Vision 43 plan later this year. We have so many important things happening throughout the city. Make sure to visit westlandoregon.gov/citycouncil to see all of the council's priorities. We need a new operations facility to meet our storage needs and help our city staff better maintain our roads and parks. We want to build it in an environmentally sustainable way. We're still thinking about creative financing options to bring down the cost of an indoor recreation center, and we've been talking to the YMCA about a partnership as well. We want clearer roles and more efficient communication with our city's 13 community advisory groups. We remain committed to diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging because everyone deserves to feel welcome and valued in our community and city organization. We're also working on the city's 2-year budget right now, and as always, we won't be able to afford all of the services that the community would like to see. Only about 13% of your property taxes go to the city of West Linn, and that's one of the lowest rates in the entire region. And we don't have large commercial or industrial areas to boost our city revenues. That means that per capita, we have fewer staff in all of our departments than other cities around us. We struggle to maintain enough police officers on overnight shifts or parks employees to maintain our wonderful parks. This council has asked staff to put together information on our most pressing unmet needs, and we plan to look at options to solve them during the budget process in May and June. All budget meetings are public, and we welcome your ideas and involvement in that process. On a lighter note, all your favorite city events are back this summer, plus a few more you may not have heard of. The 3-day Old Time Fair attracts over 13,000 people to West Linn each year in July. We're following that up with free movies and music in the park events. There's also a ton happening right here at the library too. Summer reading programs for all ages, new quiet pods, and Gunner, the newest addition to our library dog family, is here. If you missed Chill with a Chick, our spring program offering hands-on time with baby chicks, the ever-popular Reptile Man will be back at Willamette Park for Terrific Tuesdays. That's about it for the biggest hits of 2025 so far. As always, stay tuned for more at our website, social media, and print and digital newsletters. Thank you all for watching The State of the City and being part of this wonderful community. Thanks to our city staff who make the city run every day, to my colleagues for serving on the city council, and to each of you for giving me this opportunity to be your mayor. I'll see you out there in the mean streets of West Linn.
Thank you again to Ivan and Roberto over at TBC TV for your help producing that wonderful video. We appreciate you all. And the team at TBC TV shared earlier that this is their final State of the City event of the year. So great work, everybody, doing the promotions and the taping for all the videos all across the region. They do several of these, so we appreciate them coming and helping out tonight. I'd like to welcome up our city councilors now. We're going to have a short panel discussion just to dig a little bit deeper. And I wanted to make sure that my colleagues got credit for everything that goes on because we are a team and we've all been working very hard on making West Linn a better place. So I sent around one question to each of you earlier. And is it okay to just start with one of you? It's going to start with Councilor Breik. Excuse me, it's automated. It's automatically programmed to tell us the library is closing, but it closed earlier. Councilor Breik is a longtime resident of the Highway 43 area, where she lives in the Robinwood neighborhood, and she's been instrumental in our work on Vision 43, which you heard about in the video. And so I wanted to ask Councilor Breik, what are you excited about with regard to the Vision 43 plan, and how do you feel it might benefit our community?
Hello? I made some notes so that I don't go too far off track. First, I hope that nearly everybody in this room has heard of Vision 43. We've had a lot of information on the website, yourwestlinn.com, and we have the staff, planning department has spent so much time out in the public. They've been to neighborhood meetings, they've been to music and movies in the park, they've been to the Wednesday markets, held open houses at various locations around the city. So hopefully everybody has heard a little bit about it, at least. This, from the staff efforts, and I do have to shout out to the planning department and particularly to Chris Myers and to Lynn, they have done so much work on this. And it has felt different to me from the beginning of many of the other planning processes that the city has gone through. Truly out in the public, listening to what the public has to say and what their thoughts are about this project. So the vision is looking to improve connections between the neighborhoods and from the neighborhoods up to Highway 43, and including crosswalks so that people can more readily get from one side of the road to the other safely. That's pretty limited on that 3-mile stretch of road. And it's also about opening up zoning in the locations that we have decided, the commercial areas, opening up the zoning so that there can be a lot more diversity of businesses and other activities. It's not about fixing the road. It is not about pavement. It's not about striping. That's still up to ODOT. But we are going to try to make the things adjacent to the road nicer. So I'm really excited about the expansion of opportunities for creating business, housing, and gathering spaces along the highway in the focus areas. And the focus areas are the commercial areas and some adjacent spots, and this will all be coming back to the public to see what the working group, the technical group, the planning commission, and the city council have seen, to see if we're reflecting what the community has told us. When I moved to West Linn in 1999, my family was told you can't buy socks in West Linn. And so I'm really hopeful that when this project is implemented, that you can buy socks and a whole lot more. Thanks.
Very exciting. We just talked about the focus areas and had a briefing on that at our city council meeting yesterday for Vision 43. Looking forward to that. And now we'll go to Council President Mary Baumgardner. And she's got a lot of liaison and committee assignments in her role as council president. She's been serving as a member of the Willamette Falls Locks Authority, where she was appointed by the governor to serve on that board. She's on the Willamette Falls Trust with former Governor Brown. And she's also part of the Willamette Falls and Landings Heritage Area Coalition. And so she's vested in the waterfront area and the falls. And I wanted to give her a moment to talk about what's on her mind with regard to the waterfront and Willamette Falls, and I wanted to thank her for her service as well.
Thank you, Mayor. And I just have to stop and acknowledge the mayor briefly and our friendship that started when I was working at West Linn High School and he was a student. And I'm so proud of what a great leader he's become. We're so lucky. For sure. And I'm so proud to be a lifelong resident of West Linn, and no shade to newer residents. I love any and all people who live in this community, and so, but when I started going for walks along the wetland near Willamette, near the river, and seeing what the nature there and working with the beaver specialist who the city had hired to deal with the beavers at Mary S. Young and some of the impacts they were having, and also just driving down Willamette Falls Drive all my life, and wondering what could happen with some of this land that isn't really being used and isn't very accessible, and how can we maybe get to see the falls and get better access. And I also started wondering more about the people who lived here before Europeans came, and what their impacts are, and how they would like to maybe access this area. So I'm really excited about our projects, the Willamette Falls Trust work that we're doing, interacting specifically and working with tribal nations to return their cultural access and traditions to the land and learn more about them. And of course, the wonderful locks and the new potential, the real potential of reopening them within the next few years. I mean, we're not talking 10 or 15 years from now. We're talking within the next 5 years. We could all be going down to a Locks Fest. So Friday is another opportunity to advocate in Salem. The community is welcome, of course, to give your public comments. And I hope people will support the locks. It's House Bill 2574. Anybody who wants to know more about it, there's plenty of people here who would tell you, and you can talk to me. And of course, the Waterfront Vision Plan, which is accessible on the website you learned a little bit about, is, again, we're trying to think about and revision what this area can do, and with honoring the industry and the history there, but also creating better access. So those are some of the projects that I'm excited about. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, Council President, for the updates and the reminder about the hearing on Friday with the locks bill for funding. And let me, got ahead of myself here. I'm going to turn it over to Councilor Kevin Bonington, who's been a lifelong resident of Westland as well. And he's been a champion thus far for some of those conversations we've been talking about the city's budgetary outlook and opportunities to enhance our community. So I wanted to give him a chance to share what's on his mind with regard to that topic.
Thank you, Mayor, and hello, my fellow Linnians. I am Councilor Bonington, and many of you may know me from the internet. I'm gonna retire that joke now. When these lovely folks here took a chance on me last year, I dedicated myself to learning as much as possible about the challenges facing Westland. Many of them were not apparent from the outside, despite living here my entire life. The one that the mayor alluded to is something that I assumed, perhaps like many of you, this city would have a ton of money. Why don't we have what all the neighboring cities have? Well, the reality of that situation surprised me, and it surprises just about everyone I've had this conversation with. As a result of complex tax legislation from the mid-90s, the city of Westland is permanently locked in to the lowest property tax rate in the metro area. It's not accurate or intellectually honest to try and directly compare them with other cities, but any way you slice it, the city of Westland receives the lowest amount of any of our neighbors. Once I understood that, I stopped asking why don't we have certain things, and instead started really being appreciative and shocked at what we can do with what we have. If you need convincing, consider the fact that we're not talking about these painful cuts and layoffs. This comes down to really genuinely responsible fiscal policy that I can't take credit for. It goes to staff and my colleagues here. But we may not be able to sustain what we have. And likewise, every single day we get feedback from residents about what level of service or amenities or facilities they might want. We've got those real issues of pedestrian safety in neighborhoods without sidewalks, deferred maintenance of city facilities, automated library messages, and aging water lines. We've got over 600 acres of parks and open spaces that I know are treasured by all of you, which we're just not able to look after at the rate we'd like to. At any given time, there are perhaps 2 police officers on duty. That's not an exhaustive list of all of these things, but my point is there's a very real gap between what we'd like to provide, what you expect of us, and what we can actually do. And these are bread and butter needs. There's not any fat to cut around here. So I think I've illustrated that problem sufficiently, and I believe there are numerous creative and innovative solutions to this. And I've even come up with a really catchy name and a logo, which if you have it, you can go ahead and put it up. I want to kick off this conversation and call it Community Enhancement and Community Enhancement Fund, because the idea is to figure out creative and innovative solutions that aren't just continuing to ask for, yes, is it up? Fantastic. Yep. That aren't just property tax increases or things like that, because there are so many other avenues to go through. So in the coming weeks, months, and years, I'd like to have this conversation as we have as a council with all of you about all of the things we take up, and try to come to a consensus about how we should tackle these challenges for the future. Because I know there are a lot of really creative, well-educated, well-intended people in this city. So I think we can solve this if we put our heads together on it. Yeah, that's what I got.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Councillor Bonington, and your thoughts. And I want to go now to Councillor Groner, who among us on the City Council is I think the newest Westland resident, as he moved here back in 2020, 2021. And
2020.
he brings a valuable perspective as someone who came in from the outside and joined us more recently. We appreciate him, and he's been improving pedestrian safety has been a key priority for us and for Councillor Groner. And he's expressed a strong interest in working on that, and I wanted to ask him kind of what his thoughts were on that topic and his thoughts in general. If he has.
Yeah, since I'm the last speaker, I have a few brief remarks.
Would you like to come up? You can come up.
But I'll cut it short. Okay, friends, we are a community that shares a desire for a safe and thriving town. Safety is a collective responsibility that requires the active participation of the Westland government, other agencies, and each and every one of us. Safety is the peace of mind that allows our children to play in our parks, our businesses to flourish, and we seniors to walk our streets without fear. First, public safety. Westland police officers respond to crises, protect our property, and ensure our well-being. But their efforts are most effective when supported by an informed and vigilant community in a culture of mutual respect that rejects hate. Second, infrastructure safety. Westland's roads, sidewalks, pedestrian crossings, and public spaces must be designed and maintained to minimize risk. We need proper lighting, clear signage, well-maintained crosswalks, and accessible facilities for all residents. Regular inspections and prompt repairs help create an environment where everyone can move around safely. Then there's environmental safety, protecting our natural resources, including ensuring clean air and water reduces the risks. Westland has a robust emergency preparedness plans, effective waste management systems, and policies that promote sustainable practices. Lastly, personal responsibility for safety. Each of us has a role to play in creating a safe environment, and this means obeying traffic laws, keeping loaded weapons away from children, and looking out for our neighbors. It means teaching our children to be responsible citizens. I would be remiss if I failed to talk about protection from government. Due process and equal protection are fundamental principles enshrined in the U.S. Constitutions. They are designed to safeguard individual rights and ensure fairness under the law. And while distinct, they often work together to protect us against arbitrary or discriminatory government actions. Due process requires the government to respect all legal rights owed to us. It ensures the government can't take away someone's life, liberty, or property without following proper legal procedures. In essence, it's about fairness in legal proceedings and the application of laws. The Fifth Amendment applies to the federal government. While the 14th Amendment directly applies to the states, the Supreme Court has interpreted the Due Process Clause of the Fifth Amendment to include equal protection principles that effectively cover all levels of government. It says, no state shall deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. This procedural due process focuses on government actions. It ensures that the government cannot deprive an individual of their rights. They are given fair processes. This includes notice of charges and proceedings, an opportunity to be heard, the right to an impartial judge and jury, the right to counsel, the right to confront and cross-examine witnesses, Equal protection prohibits the government from denying groups of people the equal protection of the laws. Safety is not a privilege, it's a right. It's a shared responsibility that demands our continuous attention and active participation. Let's work together, mayor, council, city staff, and community, to build a town where everyone feels safe, secure, and empowered to thrive. Let's make West Lynn a shining example of what a truly safe community can be. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Groner. Timely words, given everything going on. And before we close, we're almost done, but I wanted to take a moment to recognize some of our incredible city staff, and it's hard to, everybody does an incredible job, and I had to pick a sampling of things to recognize, but every day our employees come to work with a commitment to serve, and I am continually inspired by the work that they do to keep our city running, whether it be responding to a water main break in the middle of the night, answering residents' question at the planning counter, organizing the wonderful events that we enjoy at the Parks and Recreation, over the summer at the Parks and Recreation events, or producing top-notch communications like the OWL newsletter. Yeah, everybody seen that? Danielle Troy does that. Thank you, Danielle. These are just examples, but our staff really do care about West Lynn. And I want to extend a special recognition to our city attorney, Kaylee Klein, who's back there. She joined us in September, and the city attorney is one of only 2 positions that we get to hire as a city council. And it's been a privilege to work with Kaylee over the past many months, and she came home to serve her community of West Lynn after a distinguished and storied career at the Oregon Department of Justice, where she was the special counsel to Attorney General Ellen Rosenblum. And we're incredibly fortunate to have her on our team. And she brings not only the legal expertise, but the perspective as a West Lynn resident as well. So she works tirelessly on our legal and policy matters, and we appreciate you, Kaylee. I have also been incredibly inspired by work happening at our police department. Chief Mahoon has assembled a great team. Some of them you've met in the hallway out here. Recently, we presented several life-saving awards, which is some of the most amazing things that we do and most powerful, touching things that as a city council we get to partake in. Officer Matthew Good received one for resuscitating an unconscious 2-year-old child who is now recovering. And Officer Hayden Eckmeyer saved a woman's life. And then the woman he saved got to join us at the city council chamber when he was given the life-saving award. That was very powerful. I get emotional even thinking about it. And so one of our sergeants, Dana Gunnarsson, was recognized for her work in crisis negotiation. Sergeant Bill Garland, who is here, completed the FBI National Academy, which is a very prestigious thing, and deepened the department's knowledge of interagency coordination. And then lastly, Officer Jabral Johnson, many of you probably have seen at the high school, is concluding 4 years of service as our school resource officer. And he was awarded an award of excellence by the National Association of School Resource Officers, and that was a national award. So we thank Officer Johnson for his service as well. I want to also recognize Planning Manager Darren Wise, who will soon be transitioning into a new role as a principal planner. And Darren has been instrumental, I think he's back there somewhere, in navigating all of the state housing mandates that have come in, and has led vital housing policy and our waterfront planning efforts. He took that over. And we're grateful that Darren will continue to be part of our team as we bring on a community development director. And Darren, you're going to continue to be busy, I'm hearing, as unfortunately there are more planning mandates on the way from the legislature, but that's okay because we've got Darren to handle them all as they come in. So thank you, Darren. A couple more. I want to recognize our library staff, especially as we're gathered here in what is the beacon of our community. A special thank you to student librarian Kimberly Rhodes. I don't know if she's here, but in addition to her librarian duties, she's taken on extra responsibility as our DEIB, Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging staff specialist. And she dedicates 1 day a week to supporting the internal work that we do, ensuring that employees, residents, community members feel that they belong at the city and can find their group of people. I want to recognize Public Works Director Eric Leas as well back there. He's been doing a great job bringing the Operations Center to the forefront of the discussion this year and taking that on. And then a couple more. Wyatt Parno from South Fork Water Board and his team are here, and they make our water, get it to the city, and I want to acknowledge all the work that he's done and his team has done getting us ready for these generational investments that we're going to make in our water system at South Fork, and at a very affordable cost, I might say, to the community. So thank you, Wyatt. The system's in good hands with you and Mark and Krista and the team. And then finally, congratulations to our city manager, John Williams, who recently earned his ICMA CM credential from the International City County Management Association. This is a major achievement that recognizes his professionalism and leadership. And to earn that designation, he had to do several rigorous things, including master's degree and 7 years of service as a city manager, a deputy city manager, an exam, and most daunting, a peer comment period based on his nomination, and then a vote of the ICMA board. And unsurprisingly, John made it through, and got that designation. So we're proud of you, John. Thank you. Thank you, John, and thank you to Nancy Monson as well for sharing John with us. I want to thank all of our staff. You make Westland work. And I previously recognized our Parks Department directors here, Megan Big John. She does a great job. She was here helping set up today, this room. And thank you to the community members here and at home for watching and for all of your contributions to our city. And stay tuned for more information on how to get involved in all that you heard today. And we're going to continue to come together to plan our collective future and invest in our city. And above all, take care of each other, be a good neighbor. And if we can do that, we can accomplish anything together. Thank you. And there's going to be food across the hall in the community room. So we appreciate it. And thank you for being here. Thank you to my colleagues as well. We're adjourned, everybody.